Here's the question this whole video is built on, and I want you to sit with how uncomfortable it is. Did Marco Reus waste his career, or did he build something the trophy cabinet can't measure? Because on paper, it looks like a tragedy. Marco Reus is one of the most gifted attacking players Germany has ever produced. And he never won the Bundesliga. Not once. He finished second 7 times. He reached 2 Champions League finals and lost both. He missed the World Cup that Germany won. And the whole time, he watched his closest friends, Götze, Lewandowski, Hummels, leave the club he refused to leave and go win everything he never touched. So here's the promise of this video. I'm not going to ask why Bayern wanted him. Everyone wanted him. I'm going to ask the only question that actually matters. Why did he never let himself be taken? And whether the man who stayed behind was a fool who threw away trophies or built something bigger than all of them. Let me lay out just how brutal the almost really is, because you need to feel it to understand the choice. Marco Reus won the German Footballer of the Year award twice, in 2012 and 2019. He was named Bundesliga Player of the Season 3 times. In his position, in his prime, there are maybe 2 or 3 players on earth you'd honestly rank above him. This was not a good player. This was a great one. And here's what greatness bought him at Dortmund: 7 Bundesliga runner-up medals. A Champions League final in 2013, lost to Bayern Munich at Wembley. Another Champions League final in 2024, in his very last season, lost to Real Madrid. First season and last season, same story. So close he could touch it, and then nothing. So here's the stake. Reus had, by most accounts, standing offers to leave, to go to a club that would guarantee him the league titles and the Champions Leagues his talent deserved. Bayern Munich, the machine that kept beating Dortmund, was right there. Every one of his friends took that path. And Reus again and again said no. He stayed at his hometown club. The question is whether that no was the most romantic decision in modern football or the most expensive mistake. Because loyalty, it turns out, has a price. And Reus paid all of it. To understand the weight of Reus's choice, you have to understand the era he played in and the machine standing in his way. Reus returned to Borussia Dortmund in 2012, right at the peak of the club's golden age under Jurgen Klopp. This Dortmund had just won back-to-back Bundesliga titles. They were young, electric, fearless, the most exciting team in Europe. It looked like the beginning of a dynasty. And then something happened that defined the entire decade of German football. Bayern Munich decided they would not allow it. Bayern didn't just try to beat Dortmund. They dismantled them by buying their best players one by one. Mario Götze, Reus's childhood friend, went to Bayern in 2013. Robert Lewandowski, his strike partner, followed in 2014. Mats Hummels went in 2016. This was the era's cruel logic. In German football, the surest way to win everything was to leave Dortmund and join the very club that kept beating them. Bayern turned domestic dominance into a monopoly, winning the Bundesliga 11 times in a row. 11. For an entire generation, second place was the best anyone outside Bavaria could realistically hope for. So Reus wasn't just fighting to win. He was fighting a structural reality where the trophies were being actively vacuumed toward one club, the club that kept extending its hand to him. Everyone around him took that hand. That's the context. Now, let's talk about why he didn't. To understand the no, you have to go back to where Reus comes from, because this isn't a normal footballer's story. Marco Reus was born in Dortmund. In 1989, in that city. He joined the Borussia Dortmund Youth Academy as a 7-year-old boy in 1996. He grew up in the stands, a fan, one of the yellow and black faithful on the terraces of the Westfalen Stadion. This was his club in the most literal sense possible, not a business he joined, but the team of his childhood. But here's the part that makes the origin story so poignant. Dortmund let him go. As a teenager, he wasn't quite good enough for their academy, and he left to grind out at a small club, Rot-Weiss-Lane, in the lower divisions. He built himself back up the hard way, earned a move to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and there he exploded, 18 goals in a single Bundesliga season, becoming one of the most wanted players in Europe. Now think about the psychology this created. Every big club in Europe wanted him. And the boy who had been rejected by his hometown club chose, of all the doors open to him, to go back home. In 2012, he signed for Dortmund. He said it plainly. He wanted to play for a club that could challenge for the title and give him Champions League football, and he saw that chance in Dortmund. That's the origin of everything that follows. Reus didn't stay at Dortmund out of blind sentiment alone. He came back to prove something to the club that once let him go, and to win with them, not somewhere else. The dream was never just win trophies. The dream was win trophies here at home with the badge I grew up loving. And that specific dream is exactly the one football refused to grant him. And for a while, a glorious, heartbreaking while, it looked like the dream might actually come true. In his very first season back, 2012-13, Reus was electric. He and Lewandowski and Götze and Hummels formed the spine of a Dortmund side that tore through Europe. They knocked out Real Madrid. They reached the Champions League final at Wembley. Reus was 23, playing the best football of his life, in the colors of his boyhood club, one match away from the biggest prize in the sport. And they lost to Bayern Munich, 2-1, in the final minutes. Now here's the rehook, the detail that turns this from a sports story into something almost Shakespearean. Before that final was even played, Mario Götze, Reus's friend since they were kids, had already agreed to join Bayern. The dynasty didn't just beat Dortmund on the pitch. It had already begun hollowing them out from inside. And the next summer, Lewandowski agreed to go too. So watch what happens to Reus in real time. The team he built his homecoming dream around starts dissolving, piece by piece, with every piece walking directly into the arms of the club that beat them. And every summer, the same offer floated toward Reus. Come with them. Come win. He stayed. In 2014, Dortmund even inserted a release clause into his contract, a relatively modest fee that could have taken him to almost any giant in Europe. It went unused. He signed extension after extension. He became club captain in 2018. While his friends collected Bundesliga medals and Champions League trophies at Bayern, Reus collected something else, 2 German Cups in 2017 and 2021, and a pile of runner-up medals. His rise, in other words, was also his imprisonment. The better he played, the more the Giants wanted him, and the more he refused, the more he tied his fate to a club that simply could not get past Bayern. Every great season was another year of almost. He was rising and losing at the same time. That's a very rare, very cruel kind of career. And then there's the injuries, because you cannot tell the tragedy of Marco Reus without them. Reus's body betrayed him at the worst possible moments, over and over, with almost supernatural cruelty. And the single most devastating example is the one that defines his whole career. 2014, the World Cup in Brazil. Reus is in the form of his life, one of the first names on Germany's team sheet, about to play on the biggest stage in the sport. And in the final warm-up match before the tournament, he tears ligaments in his ankle. He's out. He watches the 2014 World Cup from home. Germany won it. His teammates became world champions. And the winning goal in the final, the goal that won Germany the World Cup, was scored by Mario Götze, his childhood friend, the one who left for Bayern. Reus, at home with a wrecked ankle, watched the boy he grew up with score the most famous goal in German football history. Let that sink in, because it's the complication that makes this video more than a loyalty is beautiful story. It's the dark question underneath. What if staying and suffering cost him not just trophies but his legacy? Reus missed 3 separate World Cups through injury, 2010, 2014, and 2022. 3. He played in only one, 2018, when Germany crashed out in the group stage. The international career of one of Germany's most talented players is, in trophy terms, almost empty. So here's the genuinely hard part. It's easy to romanticize the man who stayed. But you have to be honest, his friends who left didn't just win more. Götze won a World Cup. Lewandowski became arguably the best striker on the planet. Hummels won the Champions League. They chose ambition over sentiment, and football rewarded them with immortality. And Reus chose home and loyalty and love, and football handed him a body that broke at every summit, and a hometown club that could never quite climb the last step. So was his choice noble? Or did he sacrifice greatness on the altar of a feeling? That's the tension we have to resolve. So, did Marco Reus waste his career? Let's actually answer it. Here's the case that he did. The trophies aren't there. No Bundesliga, no Champions League, no international honors. By the cold accounting that football usually uses to measure greatness, Reus falls short of players with a fraction of his talent. If a career is a trophy count, his is a monument to what could have been. But I want to offer you the other reading, because I think it's truer. What Reus built at Dortmund wasn't measured in silverware, it was measured in meaning. He became something almost extinct in modern football, a one-club symbol. For 12 years, he was the heartbeat, the captain, the local boy who stayed when every incentive in the sport screamed at him to leave. To Dortmund fans, Reus isn't a nearly man. He's theirs, a living proof that a footballer can choose belonging over trophies, and that this choice is worth something the league table can't display. And here's the resolution that history actually handed him, and it's almost unbearably poetic. In his final season at Dortmund 2024, Reus dragged that club to another Champions League final, and lost again to Real Madrid. It seemed like the perfect cruel ending, the loyal man finishing exactly as he started, one step short empty-handed. Except that's not where it ended. Because Reus finally did the one thing he'd resisted his whole career. He left. In August 2024, at 35, he joined LA Galaxy in Major League Soccer, leaving Dortmund and Germany for the first time in his life. And 4 months later, in December 2024, Marco Reus lifted the MLS Cup. His first major trophy as a senior professional at a big club. Not in the Bundesliga, not in the Champions League, but a championship, a real one, with his name on it, the winner's medal that 15 years of loyalty at home never gave him. The man who stayed finally won, but only after he finally left. So which is the true story? That he wasted his prime chasing a dream that never paid off, or that he was one of the few players brave enough to define his own worth, refuse to be a trophy hunter, and then find his medal anyway, on his own terms on the other side of the world? I genuinely think both are true, and that's what makes him unforgettable. So let's go back to the question we open with, waste or something bigger. Here's what I've come to believe. Marco Reus exposes a lie we tell about football, that a career is only worth the trophies in the cabinet. Because if that were true, Reus would be a cautionary tale, and he isn't. He's beloved in a way that most trophy winners never are. Ask a Dortmund fan whether they'd trade Reus's 12 loyal years for a mercenary who won 2 Bundesligas and left. They wouldn't even let you finish the sentence. That's the legacy. Reus made himself into something rarer than a champion. He made himself into a symbol of what loyalty looks like in an era that had almost stopped believing loyalty existed. Götze, Lewandowski, Hummels, they chose the trophies, and they were right to, and they're legends for it. Reus chose the badge, and he was also, in his own way, right, and he's a legend for the opposite reason. Football is big enough to hold both kinds of greatness. And the final twist, that he lifted the MLS Cup only after leaving, doesn't cheapen the loyalty. It completes it. It says the medal was never the point. He gave his best years to home knowing it might cost him everything, and the universe finally handed him the trophy as a footnote, once he'd already proven that the trophy was never why he stayed. So here's what I'll leave you with. When we measure a footballer's life, what should count more, the trophies he won, or the person he refused to stop being to win them? Because Marco Reus never won the Bundesliga, and he might still be the most loved player of his entire generation. Tell me in the comments, did Reus waste his career or build something bigger? I really want to know where you land.